Yeah, for some reason it was making me do all this weird stuff on my computer, so I'm not sure what was going on there.
Yeah, sorry about that, Will. I've already apologized to our attendees that we're having a little technical difficulty. So, Ike, Shayla, Braden, sorry about that,
What's up,
guys.
guys?
Happy Saturday, Will.
Hey, yeah, man, it's another beautiful day. How are you guys doing? Here,
Well,
I'm gonna move the
we've
camera.
got a little tropical depression that looks like it's interested in Louisiana. So we are getting prepared for a little rain.
Yeah, we're getting tons of rain here where I'm at, and I am loving it. You know, I'm a big fan of the rain. Rain's one of my favorite days for sure. Are the rainy days. You know, you can kind of it's just something relaxing about the noise and just knowing that rain is just fertilizing the soil. You know.
Well, it fertilizes my nap habits. So best day of the week to nap is on a rainy one.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
So, Will, I am still reeling from our last conversation we had with your brother. Wow.
Yeah, man, that was a great conversation. I'm actually excited to do some more with him, man. So, you know, for those of you guys who are on here who missed that last conversation with actually my big brother, who's, you know, I've said so many times has been one of the biggest inspirations to me in my life, man, go back and check out that conversation. I've had so many people actually coming to me like, that conversation was crazy. I'm on my second time listening to it. I'm still finding so many awesome little nuggets to help, you know. So, you know, I'm super grateful for just him to be my brother, and I can call and talk to him at any time I want, you know. So it's definitely a huge aspect of my transformation progress is just knowing him, and I know just listening to that conversation is very beneficial to almost anybody.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I know we'll have him back on the show. It's just, I, like you said, every time you talk to him, it's like you've just downloaded 4 or 5 books. I'm
Yeah,
still
exactly.
reeling from some of that. So I guess I'm curious, Will, have you gotten any feedback from that conversation? Because that was impactful on so many levels that I think lead to a great conversation today about habit. Your brother is a master of habit, and I think you can see that in his work life and in his fitness and nutrition life as well.
Yeah, I mean, like he's literally the one that started this whole process for me. Is just telling me about my habits and just really starting with my habits of thought. Like he started shining light and noticing my different thought patterns and my habits of thinking that really wasn't serving me. So he gave me a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind, which at that point I couldn't even sit down to long enough and read a book until I picked up the habit of doing the Wim Hof breathing and the meditation, which I also got from him. So yeah, man, he's been, just a beast of habits, a beast in general too, so I'm excited.
Wonderful. Well, look, before we get started in that discussion, I know it's important for us to know how people find chatwithwillgrant.com and how people arrive at these discussions with us. Do you mind if I put up a quick poll, Will?
Please do. Please do. Yeah. We want to know how you're getting here so we can continue to improve our service.
Yeah, and for those of you watching the replay on YouTube, if you would just go put in the comments of the video how you joined, that would also be very helpful since I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys can see this poll.
Yeah, exactly. So how you found the video, if it was just even the YouTube search, or just put it in the comments below of how you got here.
Yeah, it could be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email, maybe even a friend referred you and sent you the registration link or some other mechanism that we don't know yet, or Google even, because you can find Chat with Will Grant on Google if you choose. So Will, it looks like from the listeners today, it is across the board. Facebook, Instagram, or email is how people are keeping in touch with you here.
So we know it's not Twitter.
We know it's not Twitter, but we
Yeah.
can work on that, Will. We can work
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. I haven't been big on Twitter, but since my Instagram got hacked recently and I have no Instagram for the past 3 weeks now, I've actually been using Twitter and Facebook a heck of a lot more. But another thing I wanted to point out is make sure you guys stay till the end of the show, because speaking of habits, we are giving away my course pretty much all about habits, the 6-week Happy, Healthy, Strong course. I want to give away that course to one listener today. So make sure you stay around to the end and maybe you'll be the lucky winner.
Oh, brilliant. Shayla's, excuse me, Shayla's saying she came across Will on Instagram while searching for people practicing Wim Hof's method. So,
Ooh, that is
man.
so cool. That's awesome. That's really, yeah. The Wim Hof method was, I mean, speaking of habits, that was the first habit, man. I just, I got from my brother. I was in a really bad place. I was in a really bad place mentally. I was in a really bad place physically. The doctors were telling me they weren't sure if I was ever going to even walk again without pain, and the pain I was struggling with in my mind was so much worse than my physical pain. And that's when my brother just first told me about the Wim Hof breathing. And that was before like Wim Hof was even famous. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You
Um,
made
you know,
Wim Hof famous, Will. Good job.
no, no, I think his method works. And I think that's what makes it spreading around so quickly is, man, that it truly changed my life is just literally catching my breath. Cause I was at a point where I was lost. I was scared. I was confused. I felt like I was just completely out of control of my life. And my life was just spiraling literally out of control. And then, that's when I learned, like, we are what we habitually do, like we are, where we're at right now in our life is just the outcome of our habits and what we're doing on a daily basis, and being able to take responsibility in that and realizing that our situation, good or bad, is just a result of what we're doing. That gives us power. When we take responsibility with our actions, we take back control of our power, of our life, and over ourselves and over our outcomes and even our life. I remember before I even thought about my habits, when I had really bad habits, I was just out of control. I felt like I had no control over my moods. I had no control over my emotions. I had no control over my health, and I had no control over my life. My life and my state of being was in a constant state of reaction, where I was just reacting to these external events in my life. And that negative thinking was just bringing me downward. And then, like I said, I took responsibility. I realized that, I had to first understand that all of these negative feelings I was going through, all of these physical pains, were because of something that I was doing. Something that I was doing was causing me to be in this position. Something that I was thinking, something that I was feeling was constantly making me feel and think this way. So I had to start changing my habits, and that's what got me into the breathing. And then I started reading some books, and then I started reading books about habits, and then I just started studying people who were really successful in anything. Like who were the people in this world who were accomplishing their goals.
Mhm.
Like who were the people in this world that were truly making an impact? Who were the people in this world that were feeling and living good on all aspects, not just financially, but emotionally and mentally? And how are they contributing? And so much of it was about their habits. That's why I started learning about morning routines. That's why I started learning about evening routines. And I just started playing around with these habits. And that's truly when everything changed, is when, I first caught my breath with the Wim Hof. And then I just got to see myself outside of myself. And then I got to see all of these habits that I was doing in my life that was quite literally making all of the problems in my life come into my life. And that's when I started learning, like, these small little changes that we could do, like a small, simple change. I don't even mean to get into the what yet, but, the small, simple change of waking up and instead of grabbing your phone, just stopping and just feeling your breath and understanding what you're wanting out of the day. A small change like that maybe will only make your day 2% better, right? But then if you do it again the next day, then it's another 2% better. And the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And it doesn't make it will make a little bit of a difference in 1 week. But in the matter of a month or 6 months or even a year, that's completely changing your destination of where you're going to be. Quite literally, I know there's a story that, if you get in a ship or if you get in a big boat, I don't know how to drive or ride a boat, but if you switch the degrees, just about 2 degrees, right? Switch the direction of what you're going just 2 degrees. If you're leaving, the East Coast of the United States, you're going to end up in a completely different country in Europe based on a 2-degree difference. And that is a completely perfect reflection of our habits and into our life. In 3 years, we can be in a completely different place. It's like that quote that I hear from my brother all the time, We overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we underestimate what we can accomplish in 3 years. To where, like, if you just switch the quick little morning habit of your first 20 minutes of your day, it may not make too big of a difference in the next 3 days, but in 3 years, you could quite literally have the body of your lifetime. You could, feel mentally the way you want to feel. You could have the job that you wish you had right now. You could have, the relationships or the house or the, internal calmness or internal peace of what we're all looking for, just based on changing our habits today. It's kind of like, that saying, the best time to plant a tree is 7 years ago, but the second best time to plant a tree is today. And our habits are the exact same way. Like the best time that you could have ever picked up a meditation habit was 10 years ago, but the second best time is today. Stop today. Even if you have 3 minutes or 5 minutes, just stop and just breathe and let that dust settle so you can get a clear perspective of your life and what's going on.
So Will, that's a perfect explanation of why. And I know people automatically start moving to, okay, what and how. But if we just pause for a minute, the way I've always understood it and the way I've coached a lot of clients is if you imagine a triangle. At the top of the triangle is belief. Belief drives behavior, and behavior drives outcome, and your outcome, either positive or negative, reinforces the belief. So I guess my question for you is, I know we're talking habit. Habit is an action that leads to an outcome, right? Your morning routine, whatever. I'm remembering back to, it was Stephen Covey. He wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Well, that's, again, I think the original thought that drove a lot of people to success habits was Stephen Covey.
Yeah. He literally changed my life. He's the one that taught me how to set goals and set habits and to align my habits with my goals.
That's right. And he started up here with, I think the first habit, if I remember, was sharpen the saw. Was the first habit.
Which is practically half my brand.
There you go. So that's an amazing place to start our conversation, I think, is belief, because it's my understanding that if you don't have the beliefs right, it's kind of like starting your New Year's resolution. After 30 days, something's going to happen, right? You might not still be on your diet.
What happened?
Oh, did I lose you, Will?
You, or what's going on here?
There you are.
Hey, you're back.
There you are. All right. So I guess my question, Will, we all start good habits at the beginning of the year in order to change our outcome, but we fall off track. So it can't be about the habit itself. There's something before it, and it has to be up here, right? In order for the habit to stick, to be successful, there's something before habit, or there's something in line with habit. What are we missing most often in habit formation?
Yeah, I mean, actually forming the habit tends to be the most difficult aspect, and then first we have to understand why we're trying to start that habit. You know what I mean? Like, that is the most important thing. Like, I always go back to intentions, and that's because our intentions are so powerful. So many of us are just doing things without even realizing why we're doing it.
So we don't buy into it up front. Yeah, we don't even buy into it. We're just going to try it.
Yeah, exactly. So there might be this little spark of motivation of like, oh, I want to start meditating because you heard, this 10-minute YouTube video about all the benefits. So you're like, all right, I got to start meditating. But then you start trying it, and then it becomes a little difficult. So then after 3 or 4 days, you quit. But then to stop before you even start that habit, and like what I do is writing things down makes so powerful. And that's one of my favorite habits too, is write down why you want to pick up these habits. Like what makes it important of whatever habit that you're trying to do. And we're going to be going over some awesome habits, right after this. But why do you want to improve your habits? Is it for your friends? Is it for your family? And that's something, or is it just because you want to be successful and you want to be all that you can be, and you want to, accomplish more in your career and have more success in your life or have more success in your family. Just understanding your why is the most important thing, and then writing down that not just one time, but check into it daily, check into it weekly, and that's something that I learned from Stephen Covey as well. Check into it monthly, of understanding your purpose and, and why you're trying to do that. And then to understand what your goals are. So like, other than your intention and your purpose, like what specifically, and I always try to go back to SMART goals. It's the specific, it's the measurable, it's the attainable, it's the realistic, which I don't really care about. And then it's the timeable, right? I don't believe that your goals have to be realistic, because if you shoot for your star, because if you shoot for the stars, you still might end up on the moon, and that's pretty damn good. So it's just understanding what goals you're trying to do. And, if that is to reach a certain number in your job, or if that's to do something, specific in your health or your fitness, understanding what those goals are. And that makes it really easy to understand what goals are going to align to, what habits are going to align to your goals. And then, and that's when it comes to just taking action. Like, what are the action habits that will align to your goals, that also align with your intention and with your purpose? And when you start checking into that every single day, you believe it, like your beliefs, or your beliefs align with that. Like, your beliefs are just based on what you've been doing and what you've been seeing and what you've been consuming, but we can wake up today, every single day, and start a whole new chapter and a good morning routine. And then all of a sudden we feel a little bit better, and our beliefs change a little bit. And then when our beliefs change, then we start to have a little bit more positive thought. And then when we start to have a little bit more positive thought, we have a little bit more positive actions. More positive actions turns into, positive outcomes. And then that turns into a positive life. And that, my friend, is a complete change of direction. That's a transformation of, that's the difference in ending up in the Middle East or the beautiful Alps of Switzerland.
Mm. Well, very true, Will. And I like and appreciate the word you used, alignment. I think it is irrational for us as humans to set a habit pattern around eating better if we have a belief, a self-image, so to speak, that is not a healthy one, and you have a irrational relationship with food as comfort, and you're depressed. That's not a good matchup. I think you do have to spend some time aligning your visioneer up here, and then align the habit to the new vision. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, don't let your mind fool you. You know what I mean? Like, because your mind is constantly figuring things out about the past, and that's what your beliefs are based on. And then that's why I think, just a habit of waking up in the morning, and instead of grabbing your phone, but to grab your breath and to start meditating a little bit, that changes. So you're not thinking, like, you're not basing your beliefs off yesterday, but basing your beliefs on the opportunity of right now, so if you're struggling with your beliefs of believing this, first of all, we got to realize that our beliefs are almost always wrong. Like, it doesn't matter if you're
we think we know the truth, but we don't.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're you'd be surprised with how much wrong that Socrates was. He was right on so many, Socrates is arguably one, or Einstein, they're arguably one of the smartest people in the world, but they had wrong beliefs too. They were wrong about so many things. And, just your belief of thinking that you have to be today based on what you were yesterday, that's a bullshit belief, like, that's a wrong belief that when you could disconnect yourself from yesterday, let that shit go and start today fresh with a new habit, then your beliefs change.
Yeah. And I'm listening to you, I'm reminded of Stephen Covey's 7th principle, which is synergy. So when your actions are well, I can see what you're saying about belief, that sometimes you just got to go do and then work on the belief, and they kind of work together then, rather than saying, well, I'm not going to worry about my beliefs right now. I just got to go do this morning routine. That's not the best strategy. And I think I'm going to wait on doing the morning routine until I get my head straight. That's not the best strategy.
That's like cleaning the house before the maid comes.
There you go. Take action, and then
it doesn't make sense. And I think our biggest problem of not accomplishing our goals or not implementing these routines, like, we all have these things that we want to start that we don't start, or the, you know, like the exercise that we want to do, or the meditation or the reading. But what causes that is just like you said earlier, Edwin, is being out of alignment. When you can align your energy with your thoughts and your beliefs and your principles and your values, you know, like that's so, so important. Like, and that's something I learned from building the habit of just reading books of all the people who were successful and all the companies that were successful. They based everything they did on their values, you know, everything, you know, and when you align your values with your habits, then your beliefs just line in with it, you know.
So that's sometimes an assumption, Will, right? That we think we know what we value, but truly, if you're asked why you believe what you believe, man, sometimes you question, well, I don't know if I believe that or not.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
look at a
And
lot
it
of
takes
things.
time to sitting and then almost going down that rabbit hole, you know, like, you know, it takes time. And that's why, going back, that habit of meditation, you get to dive down all of those rabbit holes of understanding what your beliefs are. So many of us have these stuck beliefs of what we've been believing for 5-10 years, or since something that happened to us when we were 8 years old, or something that happened to us that we were 13. It built in this belief, right? And then we believe this, and then it's gotten stronger, and that rut has gotten deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then now we're unconsciously, habitually acting based on these beliefs that happened when we were a kid. And that's why just building the habit of stopping, instead of reacting towards these past beliefs, to stop and just connect to your breath and meditate, then all of a sudden you could start to see those beliefs. Like that little situation that happened when you're 13 years old pops up in your head if you sit with yourself long enough. And then you start to see it from a more mature, you know, higher aspect, and understand, oh, that's why I believe that. Not that this belief is necessarily true in any way, but this situation to this poor little kid made me believe that, right? And then that's when and this is where all the beauty happens. That's when you can start rewiring. That's when you're inside to all these control centers of what's going on here. You know, I don't know the science of it. You know that, Edwin. You know, but that's when you're into all of these control centers, and you could start rewiring these beliefs to realize that, okay, I believe this way because of this, when it's not the case. You know, in the case that all I have to do is stop and be present and to worry about today in this moment and what I could do to get better and serve. And then all of a sudden my beliefs change, my actions change, my habits change, and everything that I'm doing is getting better. And, you know, and we're always going this and that. We just got to keep fighting to keep going upward and keep looking for that growth and reaching the next level of ourselves, because that's where happiness is. Happiness for humans is in progress and in unity and working together, you know?
That's right. That's right. Wow. Wow. So what we're really talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, is a level of,
oh no. Oh, you're back. You're good. Keep going.
Good. I panicked, Will.
Yeah, just a glitch.
What we're talking about here is really a level of self-awareness, and it takes these processes to almost ground you so that you can pay attention to this. From a spiritual perspective, Will, I have heard it said that humans cannot be the where truth is found. Truth is outside. So if your beliefs are tying you down to a belief that something is true, remember the truth is outside you, and you always have to seek it. So I think these habits and routines that Will's just about to talk about help you continually seek the truth. And remember, it's not the voices in your head that are speaking truth. It's not your experiences that become your truth. Your truth is something you've got to grow into, and that's through action forward. So let's talk about these actions, Will, that you have found lead to.
Yeah, but I also think it's very well inside, you know, like, you know, it's outside as well, but what's outside is just a mirror of what's inside, you know, because we have all of the answers and all of the truth already inside of us. And what we see in our outside perspective and what we see in other people and what we see in our environment and what we see in our community is just a mirror of what's going on inside, you know? So we could use the external to reflect off the internal and use the internal to reflect off the external to understand really what truth is, because I believe that every single one of us, we all have that infinite wisdom that's in with each one of us. And the more that we can get past our egos and get past that first layer of our monkey brain of the thinking, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, the truth is in the mind. You know, I'm not saying that the truth is in the mind, because, you know, the mind can get very confusing if it's left at its own play. Okay. Because the mind is just a tool. We are not our thoughts. So many of us think that we are our thoughts, but our thinking is just it's this tool inside of us that we're supposed to be using for figuring out problems and to plan for the future, but that doesn't have anything to do with what's necessarily true. We just have to be above our thoughts and connect with ourselves and connect with our environment. And that's where the truth is.
So these habits, I know we've talked about breathing for a long time as one of the habits that has allowed you to connect with what we'll call your inner truth, what you know to be true through the perspective of your awareness as it
what
is.
I know to be true today. It may be
what you know to be true
tomorrow,
today.
yeah.
That's right. So you've talked about journaling, you've talked about reading, exercise, nutrition, morning and evening routines. That's a lot of stuff. Let's start with, how do people incorporate habit into their life so that it is set up to be sustainable?
Yeah. So the way I did it was I picked one habit, right? One habit that I felt like I needed the most, right? Because I feel like if you just, all right, you wake up, it's January 1st, you're going to read every day, you're going to meditate every day, you're going to exercise 2 hours a day, you're not going to have any, you're going to go crazy and not make it past the 2 weeks, right? So just start with one habit that you feel like is going to make the biggest impact. If you're struggling with your health physically, try just waking up in the morning and going for a walk every day, because that could be a form of meditation. That could be a form of exercise. That could be a form of even just nourishing yourself, right? But if you're struggling with, mental anxiety, maybe it's a meditation. But what helped me was picking one, okay? Pick one that you feel like is going to resonate to your goals and your intentions of the most. And what I did was I gave myself a 2-day rule. Okay. Now, I made sure I did this every single day. I wrote it down. I wrote it down in my notebook. I wrote it down, make sure I could see it every single day. Okay. For me, it was the Wim Hof breathing. I said, you do the Wim Hof breathing every day, Will Grant. I don't care how long it takes, or I don't know how long you're going to do it. Just do it every single day. Okay. And I gave myself the 2-day rule. And the 2-day rule was, look, something can happen. Okay. There's riots going on in the world. There's pandemics going on in the world. I heard a meteor the size of a football stadium was coming towards, America this week. There's so much stuff that can happen, like with your family or with your life. If you miss one day, that's okay. When you're forming a habit, it's okay to miss one day. The trick is to not judge yourself and just say, oh, I missed the habit, it's over with, I'm going to quit. That's not the key. Give yourself the 2-day rule. Never miss 2 days in a row. Okay. Because a riot can happen one day, but I promise you on that second day, you could find 3 minutes and start breathing and meditating. Okay. Just don't let yourself go more than 2 days. Okay. Like, give yourself this 1-day grace period where you don't judge yourself. You don't, put yourself down for missing it. You have that one day and just try to understand what made you miss it that day, and make sure you don't miss it the next day, and realize that this is an everyday process of self-mastery that's going to be for the rest of our life. You don't just wake up one day and you're a winner. No, you wake up every day and you try to win.
Yeah. So you said a lot right there that I think is very helpful, Will. So in tracking progress, I think that's important for people. We're visual creatures, particularly us men are visual creatures. So putting the list or a checkbox series on the refrigerator, on the bathroom mirror, in the car, next to your bed, something to be a visual cue for you. Do you use anything like that other than your notebook?
Yeah, actually a couple things that I did for that. So, because I remember when I first started saying, all right, I'm going to do the Wim Hof breathing every day. I would just say I was going to do it every day. So then it's 11 o'clock. Oh, shit, I know I got to do it. It's 2 o'clock. All right, time's running out. And I was building this anxiety, right? And then when I started doing really good at it, then, I started to do another habit. And then it just got so much that I'm trying to force myself to do this every single day. That's what helped me for the morning routine. Honestly, it's just like, look, like if I'm going to pick up this one habit, I'm going to do it before I grab my phone in the morning, right? And that just takes control of my energy and takes control of my being. So I'm being more proactive instead of reactive with my energy. So that helps so much. And then journaling too, which really became my either second or third habit, was after that, I would just, so mine was Wim Hof breathing, right? So after I did the breathing, I would write down afterwards in my notebook what my numbers were, you know, like what my breath hold times were, how many push-ups I got during the Wim Hof breathing, any notes or any insights. Cause I mean, there was a while for like, from the first month to like the 8th month of doing Wim Hof every single day, I was getting these crazy insights or like epiphanies, like every day, where I would, like during these sessions, I would just get these images of me when I was 13, of understanding like why I believe these things and how I've been, you know, I would get this like image of this vision of seeing like where I was, of why I've been doing this one thing for 20 years or 15 years. And then I would write that down of, you know, trying to understand what was the lesson, try to pull the lesson out of each session. You know, so before I did the session, I would try to make an intention. And then afterwards, I would try to make a lesson and just write down where I was. And sometimes I was rushing throughout the day, so I didn't do it every day, you know, but I made sure I did the habit every single day, and just to write out to see where it's going. Then you're motivated to do it the next day and then the next day. So yeah, like, you know, and even the night before, which kind of involved into my nighttime routines, when I would write down that checkbox the day before of all the stuff I had to make sure I was getting done the next day, you know, and building that checkbox and making sure that it was done and that was a successful day. And like I said, if at the end of the day I missed a couple things because, you know, I had to take my dog to the emergency room or something crazy, it's okay, you know, and then just start over the next day. It's a whole new leaf.
Yeah, I've heard it said that experience is power. And I think what you just said contradicts that a little bit. What I heard you say was that evaluated experiences are power.
Yeah.
So having 13-year-old Will show up and you think into 13-year-old Will, and recognizing and raising your awareness of why you believe and act the way you do now is tied to something several years ago when you were 13. That's evaluation, because that then is the motivation to change. That's the energy, the drive to do
Yeah.
something different. Evaluated
Yeah.
experiences are power.
You know, and it's something cool that I learned from the ancient Stoics too, is like after a day's end, you ask what went really well. What did you do really awesome? And then you ask, what did you maybe not do as well? And then the third was, what can you do better next time? You know, and I think that's that evaluation aspect of, after everything, I, I would try to write out what I call my takeaways, right? So like I have a thing after any big event or any big session or anything like that, I would write down the positives, you know, of what was good about that. Oh, wow, I had a great time. Or, oh, I just feel really good right now. Or like, oh, I learned something new. And then what was the takeaway of not just understanding, you know, seeing or the lesson or seeing the vision, but what can I actually pull from this that's going to help me change something or improve my life from there on?
Yeah, amazing. So Shayla's commenting, I don't know if you can see that, Will. She says, wow, such an amazing tool in digging up subconscious beliefs that need to be addressed and dealt with. She says, incredible. Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
when the subconscious, when you become conscious of the subconscious behaviors that you were just doing without thinking, that's where change and transformation begin.
Yeah. You know, like, I know you talk a lot about beliefs, Edwin, but when I see beliefs, I see limitations. You know, when I see a beliefs, I see like bars that I'm, you know, I'm in a jail, right? Right. And every single one of these beliefs are our limitations for our life. Do we need to be breaking away what we believe, you know, but we do need to connect with our values. But
That's a new belief, Will. That's a new
huh?
belief right there. You just created a new belief that we need to break the chains of beliefs that no longer serve us, but it's all belief based.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're
But
100% right.
but I
Yeah,
hear what
true.
you're saying. I think we get stuck on wanting it to be true because we're impatient. We are impatient creatures that I think are inconvenienced because of our beliefs. We're inconvenienced by these habits that you're talking about. Well, gosh, I don't have 15 minutes in my morning, Will. How am I going to get that done?
Yeah. Well, you know the saying, if you don't have um, 15 minutes to meditate, you should probably meditate for an hour. Like that's an ancient saying of like, if you don't have time, it just means that you're not using your time well, or you don't have your priorities in line with your values, or maybe it's just
something else is more important. That's the problem.
But like Abraham Lincoln said, no matter what task we want to do first, we want to sharpen our own saw first, and that comes to making sure that we're taking care of our health, our health physically and our health mentally and our health emotionally. And that comes based on our habits.
Yeah, no doubt. So, okay, we've talked about how to start habits. We've talked about aligning them with our purpose, our vision, our mission. What's the next component of the recipe that helps with longevity?
Well, I mean, dude, you got to take action, you know what I mean? And then just making sure that you're holding yourself accountable every single day, and just like, it's a process of self-mastery of every single day to realigning, because everything happens throughout the day. The wind blows, weather comes in that pushes us to the left or pushes us to the right. And it's an everyday practice of realigning back to our center, and that's why it's helped me so much with journaling and writing these things down and connecting back again to the first part, reconnecting to my purpose, reconnecting to my attentions. Every single time I feel myself slipping off, I have to stop and open up my book and just read my intentions and rewrite them again, like understand what my goals are, check the roadmap, so to speak, like check the GPS, so to speak, to understand, oh yeah, I am going this way and this is why I'm going there, and I probably should turn left right now.
Oh, interesting. My mentor, John Maxwell, talks about a mid-year review that he has at the beginning of July, and he checks out for a week and he looks at everything that was on his calendar, everything that was in his notes, everything in his journal, all the activities, all the people he met. He just does a reflection and then checks to see if that's in alignment with what he set as his intentions
by the end of the year,
a year goal.
Yeah, so I love that.
He also does it at the end of the year after Christmas. He takes that whole week off before Christmas and after Christmas to do exactly that. So it's a full year reflection, and then the planning for the next year based on those evaluated experiences that create his wisdom, knowledge, and power for the next year. And he's just continually moving up. And I think that's critical that we pause and reflect, right?
Yeah, 100%, and I thank you for bringing this up, because that's a habit that I feel like I can improve on myself. I'm always ready, going for the next thing, going for the next thing, going for the next thing, to where a lot of times I always set my intentions before, but I'll forget or I'll run into the next thing before I reflect and start doing exactly what you're saying. So thank you for bringing that up, because that's something I do, but I could definitely improve upon.
Yeah, the term I like to use, it's often seen as one word, responsibility, but I always break it into two: response, ability. You have the ability to evaluate the response. You have an ability to act differently with each outside stimulus or internal thought going through your head. You still, if you want to know what you're in control of, it's your response ability. So if the negative,
it's almost the only thing that we have,
period.
We have no control of what happens. The only control that we have is how we react, is how we respond to all of these things. But so many of us, our emotions and our thoughts are so much more powerful than our being. So we just automatically respond without thought. We automatically just are thinking. So that's why it's good to have these habits to take control of our energy and to master ourselves, master our emotions, master our thoughts. And that comes with the daily habit of mastering,
Oh, no doubt. I that is the only way to control emotions. And like they say, words are like daggers. Once you speak them, they are gone. So your response ability is knowing that that's an emotionally driven comment you're about to make. Does it have value? That's a response ability. So it's no different here that, well, I think I'm going to skip workout today. Well, what's your response ability to that thought? Are you going to just blindly go, nah, I'm not going to work out, I don't feel like it? Or am I going to stick to my guns and respect myself enough to do what I know needs to be done that
Yeah.
is not emotionally driven. That's self-mastery.
You know, and that's just our typical habits of thought trying to talk us out of being our best self, like wanting to be safe, wanting to, our ego wanting to be what it already is, and, and then attaching to something that's already been there, right? But that's like, I think that's the trick, is overcoming that mental chatter. And that's a habit as well. How we react to our mental chatter is what we habitually do. And we can strengthen that. We can grow that ability to overcome that, I think the simplest, most uncomfortable, awful way, but best way is a cold shower. By jumping into a cold shower, you overcome that chatter every time, because I promise you, when you turn that water cold right before you get in there, everything in your being is going to tell you exactly what it's going to tell you before you want to accomplish a goal. It's going to tell you that you're not good enough, that you don't need to, that you don't feel well. It's going to give you every single excuse of why not to jump in that cold shower. But just to overcome that, you just did a deadlift for your willpower, so to speak, to where next time you realize that that chatter is coming up, you understand that you're not your thoughts, that you're above your thoughts. And that's this tool mechanism having a little malfunction. And then the more you overcome that, then, the quieter that chatter becomes and the stronger your willpower becomes.
Oh, that's amazing. Your brother even said that last week. I think before you got on the call, we were briefly chatting and getting ready for the show. And I didn't ask him directly how he prepared, but he just volunteered. He said, yeah, I needed to clear my mind. So he took an ice bath before the interview.
Yeah.
That shut any mental chatter he had about coming on the show was cut silent by an ice bath.
Yeah, because when you get into something really cold, or when you get into something like stress like that, it's really nothing else matters. Everything else goes away, and you go into that right now moment, that fight or flight. And when you're taking over that issue, you're taking control of your energy. That's why that cold is so important, because it brings you into the right now. All of a sudden, those bills that you got to pay next week don't matter. That bullshit that happened to you in, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when you were a kid or whatever, it doesn't matter. You're worried about being cold right now today, and you're overcoming that mental chatter, and you are exercising your ability to be.
Yeah. Wow. That's another response ability. So Will, I guess my curiosity's got the best of me. Have you implemented any new routines or habits in 2020? And what's next on the list that you feel like needs to aid you in self-mastery?
Man, I'm always adjusting my habits, but like I said, I've actually been trying to improve my reflection aspect, so, I've had really good morning routines, but I'm trying to improve my nighttime routines. So, a new thing that I've been doing is what I've been doing for a while is I've been waking up my body and waking up my mind and setting my intentions and priming myself to be my best throughout the day. But I went so hard all day, then I just crash into bed, right? To where I don't stop and reflect and release that tension from the day. So I guess two habits that I've been being a lot more strict on, that I've been trying to do better at, is 30 minutes for just reflection in the journaling of writing down, making sure the night before that I'm not only reflecting on the day, but I'm planning my next day. And then 30 minutes, I set the timer right on my watch. I just get on the ground and just listen to my body. I breathe, I meditate, I stretch. I just can, put my mental focus towards my breath and towards myself, and just try to release the day's tension, release the day's stress, and just to make sure I'm going to bed feeling my best. So I'm waking up feeling bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, baby.
I love it, Will. Well, look, any of you on the call right now, if you have a question for us about
I was meaning to say that. Get on here with questions. That is one of the most beautiful things about this platform, especially if you're live right now, is that you can be able to ask specific questions towards you and your goals. And that's same if you're watching later on YouTube. Put in the comments below any questions you may have. And I do actually go back to those, at least once or twice, or sometimes 3 times a week, and try to respond to as many of those comments as I possibly can. So if you do have any questions about anything, leave them in the comments below.
Yeah. So Will, of all the habits that you had have talked about, from journaling to fitness, nutrition, you name it. What was the most difficult one for you? The one that just really, that 2-day rule was violated more often than the others?
Reading.
Reading. Okay.
Yeah, reading was because I understood, like, when I started studying all these successful people, it seemed like most of them were readers, right? you know, so I just wanted to read so bad because I understood that, the smartest minds to have ever lived on this planet, their whole life's work, you can download by reading their book in a matter of a month. So, and I had attention deficit disorder. I had ADD, I had ADHD, back in school and as a young adult, the doctors were giving me the Adderall that was the Adderall, and there was Ritalin, to be able to sit and focus. Like, I couldn't sit down long enough to read a chapter. I'm reading one paragraph, and, the first sentence, it makes my mind think about something else. And then I'm, like, unconsciously reading. I had no idea what I just read. And then I'm just wasting my time. I'm frustrated, right?
Yeah.
And then, so reading was really the most difficult thing for me. So then I kind of just did the same thing. I gave myself that 2-day rule, and I just said, I don't care if you read a page, just open the book, man. Just open the book. And that started strengthening my ability to sit still. And that started strengthening my ability to focus. And at the same time, that was really like my, because I was journaling around the same time, right after I started meditating, and then I started reading. And then I started realizing that when I was meditating, I was strengthening the same ability to be able to sit still and read, right? Because sitting still was the hardest thing for me. Like, so you could say reading, but honestly, meditation was probably like, that took me the longest to get, because I knew for months that, because I was injured and I couldn't train myself physically, that I put all my value in myself, of what I could physically do and what I physically looked like. And then my body was breaking down to where I was stuck in my house. I just wanted to train myself. And the only way to train myself I knew was to meditate, because I knew it was like exercise for the mind. But I couldn't build up a habit until my brother told me about the Wim Hof breathing. And that just really stuck to me. It really spoke to me. And then that got me the 2-day rule. And then I started journaling to just process everything that was going on. And then that got me able to sit still long enough to read a book, man. And then when I first started reading, it was such a chore. I hated reading, like I just hated it. And then I just stuck to my guns. Like, look, man, I need to educate myself. I need to learn. I started thinking of it as like, we become an average of the top 5 people that we surround ourselves with, right? I didn't really have control over who I was surrounding myself with at that time. And I was really just getting out of a situation where I was surrounding myself with really bad people. I was surrounding myself with really negative people who were doing really awful things and had really awful thoughts. So, it's not like anybody with a really good mindset wanted to be around me, right? So books were so powerful because I understood, like, now all of a sudden I felt like Napoleon Hill and Stephen Covey were some of my best friends, because I started opening up their books, and it was like a meeting I had every single day. So something that became a chore almost became extremely enjoyable. Now, one of my favorite things to do on a Sunday is to wake up and open up a book and just not think about what I got to do next, but just read.
So it's okay if it sucks in the beginning.
Oh my God. Meditation was my most miserable thing besides reading. like I hated both of these things. Like, I thought that they were the most miserable things. Now it's like I find peace in my discipline, like, because I see the results. I see the outcomes from how I, from these great things put into my life, to where now it's like, I don't wake up in the morning like, oh, I can't wait to do the Wim Hof breathing, but I don't have to battle that mental chatter of like, oh, do you want to do it? Like,
Yeah.
I just know, like, look, I'm going to have a better day if I wake up and do this. Like, it's a no-brainer at this point, because I've experienced the results. I've experienced the outcomes, and feeling is truly understanding. And that's where the motivation lies, to where, like, when I'm feeling jumble up in my head, I know I need to meditate, and I need to breathe, and I need to write down the stuff that's consuming my mind.
Oh, that's interesting. My mantra, disrupt comfort. That's my website, disruptcomfort.com. We talk about that a lot, that when you start trying to exit the comfort zone, you butt up against the terror barrier, which is where all those feelings come from. But right on the other side of that is growth. And so it's okay for it to suck as you go through terror into growth. It's a natural process of
Yeah.
transformation and evolution.
Yeah.
Don't fall
Yeah.
prey
Like
to it.
that process of overcoming that chatter and that initial is where all of, is where all of the beauty is. And then another thing I've been learning from the Stoics is our judgments that we put on, oh, this sucks, or oh, this is awful. Like, that's why it sucks. That's why it's awful. It's only based on your thoughts on the action.
That's
Like,
right.
meditation doesn't suck. It's just your thought on meditation. Exercise isn't miserable. It's just your belief or thought on exercise,
There you
right?
go.
So the more you can disconnect yourself with these judgments that really mean absolutely nothing, the more you could just be and do.
Judgments are not truths.
No,
Therefore,
no.
you can seek a higher value contribution to yourself
Yep.
through a different transformation process. Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Will, I don't see
For
any
sure.
questions, but we need to talk about when we're going to get together again. I'm free next Saturday if you are.
Yeah, next Saturday. Or, dude, I also like Thursdays, man, because a lot of you don't know, but man, my shoulder's been feeling a lot better, so I've been getting back on the bike a little bit more
Okay.
lately. And I'd like to start working my way out to the BMX tracks, but dude, I can make Saturday happen for a couple more weeks because I don't get the, for sure approval from the doc until the 16th. But what do you think about Thursday?
Thursdays. Let's see. Thursday evening.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
if
you
you
want to
guys
do?
have any recommendations in the comments below on when it works really well for you, even if you're watching the replay, put it in the comments below, because we've experimented with Saturdays, we've experimented with Thursdays. Tell us what you guys like. You guys like evening and mornings? I like the noon pretty well. That works pretty well. But if you think the evening works, you tell me.
Yeah, I say we try out Thursday at noon. It's a lunch break. Nobody's commenting, so we're just going to see what comes over on YouTube and see what anybody lets us know. But you want to try Thursday at noon Eastern?
Yeah, that works good for me.
All right. And Will, you wanted
Thank
to
you,
give
Shayla.
something away.
Yeah, I want to give my hat, like, and that's another thing. Look, if you are struggling with these habits, right? If you have no idea how to implement, okay, you got all this good information, but you're not quite sure what to do with it next. And that's kind of what I did through my 3-year process of learning all of these habits and implementing them and writing out what was working. I started kind of taking the creme de la creme of what were the best habits that were making, like the greatest impact, and what were the greatest routines and habits and workouts and movements that were making the biggest difference and just having me feel better every day, to where I feel like I was almost reaching a new level of myself every single week. And that's where it comes into the 6-week program, where it, the intention is to take from where you are at now to maybe you're just wanting more out of yourself, or maybe you're feeling you're kind of like you're at the bottom and you're trying to work yourself back up. Either way, in this 6-week, I love your word, transformational course, will literally have you stepping into a whole new version of yourself. And I want to give it away for completely free. What do you think we should make them do this week, Edwin?
Wow, we're going to need.
Well, I don't have Instagram, and that's what I'm on. I'm on the most. So we got to think of a new, cool, clever way to where I want to give away one person. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook now. I'm on YouTube, but I've been seeing a lot on the Facebook more too. And I also have that Facebook group. So if you guys are not in my Facebook group, just type in Will Grant group and you can get in on there and join in on, some more in-depth conversations about all these topics and, and the course and all my videos and all that stuff as well. But what do you think we should do to give away this course, Edwin? Do you have any ideas or any comments below of ideas?
I think we're going to have to see some habit trackers and how successful people are over the next 5 days or so. So
Yeah.
let's know the habit, track it with a bunch of check boxes by day, and post it up in your Facebook group. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Get in on my Facebook group, just Will Grant group, right? Get on there and then post how you're implementing these habits into your routine. I want to see you guys breathing. I want to see you guys meditating. I want to see if you're journaling, if you're reading, or if you're exercising, even if you're just doing some daily yoga, but the best exercise is just get outside and go for a walk. Get outside into your environment. Outside is the key. Into the elements. Breathe in the microbiome of the air. Breathe in the microbiome of the dirt, of the soils, of the trees. And that's going to improve your physical health, your immune system, your gut health, all of that. Just get outside. And that's just one habit. But show us how you're implementing these habits into your routine. You could either post a picture in the group of you doing the habit, or of something, how you're tracking the habit. Like Edwin says, I just want to see what you guys are doing. And, where I'm impressed the most, you're going to get the course. And who knows, if I see 2 or 3 people on there just doing awesome, I might give the course to 2 or 3 people. And I'm going to give it away next Thursday. So you not only have to share in the group, but get in on the chat with Will Grant for next Thursday, and then let us know, hey, and I will announce the winner in the chat. I will announce the winner in the chat for next Thursday. So Edwin, when is the portal going to be open?
So I will have it up actually very shortly. So let's see, this is Saturday. I'm going to have it up this afternoon, Will. So
okay, so
be one of the first.
So just give them by tomorrow, or check this evening, and make sure you sign up for the chat with Will Grant on this Thursday. Yeah, so make sure you're in on this Thursday. I'm going to be announcing the topic pretty soon. I have a couple ideas, but get in on that Facebook group. Post how you're changing your habits and you're implementing these habits into your routine. I want to see some good stuff, because one of my main intentions is I want to take the stuff that's helping me and to share this with everybody as much as I possibly can, because this is about sharpening our own saw. The sharper that we can make our own saw, the more that we can contribute into our lives and contribute to this world and contribute to our society and as a species. The stronger we are as individuals, the stronger we will be as a species, and the stronger we will be as a planet. I've only been on this planet for 20 something years, but I've never seen a time more important where we need to stick together, where we need to help each other, where we need to look out for each other. And the best, most effective you will be to looking out for the people around you is by taking care of yourself, taking care of your own habits. You cannot help out the people around you if you're struggling with your own health. Okay. If you're struggling with, a chronic illness or a disease or chronic negative thinking, you can't help out anyone else to your best ability until you first sharpen your own saw with your own habits. Give yourself 30 minutes. Give yourself an hour before touching your phone every single day, and just try to start with 1 good habit, 2 good habits, 3 good habits, and let's build some momentum as individuals, and let's build some momentum as a species, and let's build some momentum as a planet in the right direction for taking care of ourselves, taking care of each other, and taking care of this earth.
Wonderful, Will. Wonderful. And I'd love to hear also the monkey brain going on while you're posting all this up. What is your brain telling you?
Yeah.
I'd love to know what
Let's hear the chatter. Let's hear the excuses.
Yeah, let it flow.
And know that's what they are. Know that and know that we are not our thoughts, and we are above our thoughts. And our brain is just a tool. We have to dial in, the mechanisms that we want to use it for.
Oh, brilliant. That's your responsibility. Well done. So Braden, Ike, Kareed, Luther, Shayla, thank you so much for being here live with us. We really appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week. Take care, everybody.
All right, later, guys.
Peace out, Will.